the schedule, the location, number. I think that's great. You'll send it out to us. We'll fill in our names when we're available, and you can come back and say, hey, we don't have a person available for this time zone, and we'll change things around. So we got to get everybody signed into those. So, okay. Okay.
That's a big task. So.
And then any other comments?
One other comment that I have, and you know, kind of on the anonymity thing, we might want to consider, and perhaps this would be under the purview of the consultant that is ultimately hired. But you know, maybe a system-wide survey of the police officers would be a good way to gather some information. We could do that sooner. Maybe we want to leave that for later. But and again, that will perhaps be determined in the next week and a half. But that might be a way to get a confident sense of the breadth of any problem that may exist. I don't know how effective that might be, but it's an option that we probably should put in the back of our heads. And there's lots and lots of formats and surveys and questions that we could drop onto this to come in and provide. So it's just kind of out there for now.
And I think that, Jane, that is something that we do have to use as one of our tools. And I think we would know better once we have talked to people, because that's already been asked of us. Are you guys going to do a survey? Because then everybody gets a chance to voice their opinion. But then you have to compile that survey. You have to try to analyze it a little bit, and you got to keep the questions pretty basic too. Sometimes you get comments that take a lot of time. You get 100 surveys back; it's a lot to go through. So but I think we have to leave it as a tool.
And again, that's maybe something we task the consultant with then, as you said, they get that together. But that idea of reaching everybody or making sure everybody feels like they have an opportunity to voice their thoughts, good, bad, or
yes, I
think is important. And that might be one way to give that assurance, not only to the officers, but to the public.
That's right. Totally agree. Well, the next item is to determine time and agenda for next meeting. Let's go for the time first.
So we want to go 2 weeks so that we have the opportunity to talk to folks? Is that where we're at?
I think we have to go 2 weeks with the task that we've laid out here today. So, is Friday morning a good time to do it?
Here we are.
I can tell you, I have the commission chambers scheduled, and on Friday the 31st, which would be 2 weeks, there is a meeting scheduled from 8 a.m. to 9:30 in the commission chambers.
From what time?
From 8 to 9:30.
So we need to use the river room again if that's when we next meet.
This worked okay today. I mean, we didn't have people out the door. So,
Yeah, it would just be overtime if we get a large
If we start to grow.
attendance, it could be a challenge.
I think you're right. I think there may be, when we start getting a scope and getting some surveys out there and like that, and then we may have to move.
But for the next one?
I'll be on the 31st?
Yeah.
Okay.
30th?
30th works.
7 a.m. again? So we're kind of looking
I
at.
suppose you're busy on Halloween.
Trick or treat. More
Early shift.
It'd be okay if you wore your costume. We'd be okay.
my costume, I wear that every day. The 30th.
Okay, the 30th
works
is
good.
suggested.
Yep.
How do the rooms look on the 30th, June?
I only have the commission chambers, but I would, so I can check as quickly, and would you please help me with that?
And time of day?
7 a.m. again?
7? Yeah. Good.
It's really a minimal intrusion on the work day, so that's nice. But we don't need the sweet rolls. I don't think anyone has.
Oh, I'm taking.
Oh, okay. We're sweet rolls. Okay, well, I know.
I'm glad we're not meeting all there.
You know what?
I'm glad we're not making Halloween.
It would just seem kind of,
I know.
Jinxed,
I
you know?
love Halloween. I would come in costume.
oh, now I wanna
Every
move it
year,
back to Halloween.
every year, all day long. I know, that might not be the best. That might not be the best impression.
I don't know. As long as we're not doing it during the meetings, right?
Retired our costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, you did retire your. Do you have to turn that in, or can you use it?
No, turn it.
Oh, darn. That makes sense though.
Can you ask about the river please?
30th, you're still working?
Yeah, we're still with them.
Yes, I was gonna check for.
Well, he's
So
checking on
agenda
it.
wise is really, you know, review, findings, review, you know, content.
Yeah.
You know, and do we need or want to try to, put together that prior to this meeting that we're talking about? Or are we gonna do it at that meeting? I think we have to do it at that meeting because of the open records thing, right?
Yeah.
And it should be verbal.
Yeah.
We'll just
Yeah, yeah,
discuss
yeah.
our meetings.
Yeah. I think so too.
Okay, so the agenda then is to discuss the meetings.
Discuss the meetings and.
Direction.
Direct, yeah.
And
establish
determine,
next
yeah,
step.
and then
Next step.
determine
I
direction.
think that those two, we can just sit down.
That's a big
really
agenda,
work- Yeah,
actually.
absolutely it is. We, you know, lay our thoughts out on the table and see where we're gonna go. That'll be all we can accomplish that meeting, so. We had this one rolled up pretty good,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so we're good for 7 AM on the 30th and here in the river. Thank you.
Super.
So in the meantime, we're just sending questions to Nancy and wait to know after for time frame availability.
Yeah, I think that's good.
CC questions, yeah.
Yeah, we just
Can you do
hit,
that?
just
Sure.
hit reply all when we send them, yeah, that way
Great.
they don't get a list of redundancies.
And,
You
can send it to
follow
everybody. And also, I asked Jill that now, once the minutes have been approved of today, that she gets those out to the department on their email. I think it would be okay to say what we've done here today to the department, is that we're going to
Yeah.
set up these interviews and time slots. And as soon as you get names, we'll send that out to the department and get that moving down the road.
We can maybe go together depending on how quickly we pull our
Yeah.
motions together at time.
I think they'll want to hear something on an ongoing basis. So that they don't-
I think that's
they don't
excellent.
forget about it. Okay, with that, I'm gonna entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Oh, okay.
Excuse me.
Are you sure do, old man? I'm gonna remember, I'll remember that.
Happy Friday. My day is 3/4. For you, really? Just like Larson. So, all the beats. Much less stressful.
It's exciting,
Is it? I'm good.
not involving me.
Oh.
Yeah, that's fine.
He's good. I don't want you getting me grabbing a karma roll on camera.
Yeah, I prefer that, frankly.
Yes, it is.
Now you
Would you
guys
like
want
you
to-
were
now you guys want
nominated
to break
spokesperson?
break and run for the door. Oh, sorry. Nancy, we're.
So did you guys decide, I just didn't catch it exactly, but did you guys decide to actually hire a consultant?
No, we did not. We're certainly going to keep it
It's an option, but you haven't
as a
decided.
strong option. Yeah. probably a very possibility. Okay, we get going, huh?
Can you just go through the process of explaining the interview process that you've set up here now and give us kind of a thumbnail of it?
Okay, well, what the committee decided today is that we are going to extend ourselves out to individuals. And I don't want to just fall or stop short at the department, any interested parties that want to come in and visit with us. We're trying to establish what we're really dealing with. And we feel if we, in the next week and a half, we're going to schedule some open times for us. HR is going to pick the location and set up a schedule for us, and we're going to sign up for different times. We're going to sit down face to face with individuals and visit with them to see what their concerns are. You know, we've heard from concerns from the city commission and from the chief of police now, and now we want to sit down with individuals and determine what their concerns are, so we can establish exactly what our scope that we're looking at is. And what we're trying to do is set up half-hour time frames and hopefully try to set those up during the day, during the evening hours, and have 1 to 2 of us meet with individuals and then try to find out what we want to actually address.
And the invite, again, you said is not directed specifically or only to police, then it could be...
If Don Haney wants to come in and sit down and talk about, he could certainly do that. How's that?
It's fine. I have no complaints with this night.
How important is confidentiality and getting down to the bottom of the morale issue?
We think anonymity is, and I think that's what you mean by confidentiality,
Sure,
is pretty important. We heard that from the police department today, that he feels that the officers would probably speak more freely if they don't know, if everybody doesn't know who they are. That's something we're going to try to assure, but in this day and age, we can't absolutely guarantee it. We're going to meet one-on-one, and we're not concerned about their names. When they come in, whether we know their faces or not, that's not going to be important to us. What they have to say to us is what's important.
But how important is it in getting down to the morale issue, whether right or wrong?
Well, again, we heard from the police department today that is a real important factor. So we are listening to that, and we think that is important. We feel it's very important. But yet, we feel there's a lot of people out there that are not afraid of their name being displayed either. We've heard from them, some of them already. But we want this to be as inclusive as possible. And that's why we want to strive for that.
What concerns have you heard? Or why bring these up? What are the concerns that you've already heard?
Well, communication is the biggest. Is there a free-flowing communication? And we heard today how complaints are handled and what is the flow of information back and forth between the officers? And do they feel they have a right to speak up and say challenge a policy or something? I think we heard from the chief today too, a very, very solid statement that when you're out on the street or you're at the scene of something, that's not the time for discussion. That's the time to follow procedures and not challenge what is required to be done at that moment. But is there a process set up so that there is good, strong communication within the police department, that the officers are being heard about how things are done, the training is, the promotional process of training, the feedback. Communication is kind of the root of all evil, I guess. And we will, I think, find out that that's probably a big factor here as well.
Explain the process if you can. Brian, for somebody that wants to do this now, I know you discussed it here, there's quite a bit of back and forth on it, but if you've limited the numbers, I wasn't quite clear on that.
We talked about limiting the numbers, but we feel that may constrain or restrict some people's opinions. So what we're going to try to do is set up maybe a minimum of 30 time slots. Because we started out thinking if we could get a sample of 6 to 8 or 4 to 8 people, but we felt that was too limiting. We're going to set up half-hour time slots between now and in 2 weeks when our next meeting happens, and see the kind of flow that we have coming in. If there's a lot of people coming in, we may have to extend that because we do not want to restrict the people that want to come in and talk to us. But we think at this time, setting up that many time slots, 30 time slots within the next 2 weeks will be adequate to assemble what we want to do here.
And
Right now, the mechanism for that is basically you send out a mass email and they will contact each other.
That is correct. Yeah, we're working through the Fargo City HR department to set up those time slots.
What are
for
you
those
hoping that,
outside the police departments that might be interested, how is that? They just hear it through the media or whatever?
Here to the
Yeah.
media, yeah, keep it calm.
what are you hoping to accomplish before your next meeting?
Oh, well, the staff of the city of Fargo has got a lot of work to do. We want to get our questions ready to go. We want to get those time slots set. We want to get that information out there. We want to make sure that we have at least one, hopefully two of our board members at each of those interview spots. And then we hopefully start to extract some information from people that have interest in this.
What kind of information are you looking for before your next meeting?
Well, whatever they want to offer. Yeah. We really are approaching this with a wide open mind as to, we may have some thoughts, as I just mentioned, communication. That's what was mentioned to me by the one officer that contacted me. And, but is that a problem or isn't it a problem? We don't want to go there with a preconceived idea that that is a problem. I know that's what you'll hear from everybody, communications. So that's what we hope to.
Was having a police chief there and a lieutenant helpful in your ongoing process?
Yes, absolutely, it was helpful. I think anytime you go down the road of examining or reviewing a process within a department and you have an individual that is responsible for that process that is going on, you want to hear from that person immediately. That's why we had him here today, to say, why did you send this letter? What's your perception of it and things? So yeah, that was helpful.
You said in the meeting there were some key players you guys wanted to make sure you talk to, and you might want to reach out to them later on if they don't talk to you. Any thoughts about what kind of key players are you guys thinking of?
Oh gosh, I did mention one during the meeting that has been in the media and has spoken up, and that was the president of the FOP in Grand Benjamin is his name. Does he represent a group of concerned officers or concerned retired officers and current? Well, we believe so. That's his role. So we certainly want to have people that represent groups. We want to talk to them, see what their perception and what their feedback is. What have they been hearing from those members? So yeah, we may not this first week because we'll really be busy with this open invitation, but we know there's, and we'll find out if there's more central focus on certain players that we want to talk to.
How many questions do you anticipate in this initial, Brian? You just
Probably 4 or 5,
okay.
Yeah, general nature.
Yeah.
I think the person that comes in to talk to us doesn't necessarily want to be questioned. Mm-hmm. They want to express their observations that they have. So
And why the need for the concern in the first place?
are you talking about, that's a question to ours?
Well, no, I'm saying like, you had this meeting, I'm assuming that this is the first of its kind in a while, why?
Are you asking me that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
well,
yeah.
well, what we heard today, and what the Fargo City Commission asked us to do is they said there has been some concerns or perceived concerns of personnel issues and how it's handling the morale within the Fargo Police Department. So they have reached out to us to try to assess if this is a reality, make some suggestions of improvement. In fact, you heard Commissioner Pepcorn last week said he just wants this door wide open. If you can suggest some best practices for the Fargo Police Department, that's what they want to hear. So, that is a very good question. You should sit on the panel because that's the exact question we're asking.
Brian, those the invites can
Thanks,
be calling HR or email. I suppose we can go online and try that.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mayor, that's still one of my questions. Was this the second meeting
This is the second one.
How long do you anticipate they'll go? Until you get it done?
Well, look, the city commissioners that met with us at the group meeting said they hope to see something done within 3 to 6 months. And we would like